Hey gang, it's JC, and this is the Daily Dose for Thursday, October 27th, 2011, and we're still playing baseball. Combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Great television archives, top of the page. One of the best eye candies I've put up in a long time, right below with all those shots from the natural. We'll talk more about that later. And of course, the results of our rock and roll poll question from yesterday. We'll talk about the Cardinals in just a minute, although this is sort of a Cardinal-related thing. Do you think the Cardinals will force a Game 7 against the Texas Rangers? And 81% of you say yes. So here we go. Only 19% say no. All right, now when the baseball season ends, and it is going to end, it'll either end tonight, or it'll end tomorrow night, or it'll end Sunday evening. Because here's the deal. Well, I'll get into the deal in a minute here. When the baseball season ends, what sport or team gets your attention? Yeah, baseball is going to be over here, and for baseball fans, it's sort of like, okay, wow, we had baseball for like the last 7 months. Well, now what do? So you watch the Rams, the Blues, an NFL team other than the Rams, the NBA, the Billikens, other, or gee, I wait for pitchers and catchers to report in Jupiter, which, by the way, is 4 months away. How about that? All right, now with regard to the game yesterday, we were as surprised as anybody. I had Dave Murray on at 2:30 yesterday afternoon live. Major League Baseball had a meeting at 1, and by about 2:20 or so, we were hearing rumors that the game had been postponed. I don't know. I went outside various times last night. It was wet. It was dry, mostly dry. They probably could have played the game. Who knows what's up? Who knows what's up? There could be a million reasons why they delayed that. You have to give the advantage to the Cardinals in this whole situation, particularly as it relates to Game 7, because Chris Carpenter is going to be available. Even though it's only on a day short rest from what he normally has, you got to figure that adrenaline will take over. Let me just explain something that I'm sure a lot of people understand, but a lot of people don't. And again, when I talk about the intricacies of baseball, sometimes I just have to preface it by saying, look, I understand that a lot of you understand this stuff, but there's a lot of people who watch baseball all the time and contact me and say, I've been watching baseball for 40, 50 years, and I didn't know that. So there are ways that you can learn. You can always learn stuff about baseball. Sometimes you will see a pitcher coming back on 3 days rest instead of 4, and they'll say, oh gosh, geez, I wonder if this is going to really affect him. And then he starts throwing, and you see, 90, 91, 92 on the radar gun. And you think to yourself, well, obviously there's no problem, because look, he's got his velocity up where it normally is. Yeah, but that's not the whole story, because you get what's called dead arm. I think Kyle McClellan had sort of suffered from dead arm a good chunk of the second half of the season. Your velocity is fine, but it is that extra day's rest, or in the case of McClellan, something perhaps more complicated in terms of a delivery or an injury or the beginning of an injury or something like that. But it's that snap on the ball. It's that torque. It's that whipping motion that really you require that 4th day of rest to be able to get the movement on the ball. It's not just about speed, because at this level, these guys can catch up with a 99 or 100 mile an hour fastball. So it's not just speed. The ball has to be moving. When I say moving, I mean cutting and curving and dipping and sailing and all that sort of stuff. And when you come back on 1 day short of rest, you can get the velocity, but you can't always get the movement on the ball. So that is the concern. And that's a thing that I think a lot of people are confused by, because they just look at the radar gun and go, he's fine, look, he's throwing 92. A lot more complicated than that. So, that's where we are. Baseball season's going to be over here at some point. Now, as we alluded to yesterday, there are tremendous amounts of activity going on behind the scenes. At the ballpark, city of St. Louis, radio, TV stations, etc., and so forth, because now that Game 7, if there is one, has been pushed back to tomorrow night, Friday, what's going to happen here is that any victory parade would then happen on Sunday. We know that it's going to happen mid to late afternoon. You got a Rams game at noon, and I know the Cardinals are somebody said, we wouldn't want to start it too early because we want to give time for the Rams crowd to clear out. Well, a couple of things on that. Number one, I think people who go to the Rams game on Sunday are still going to hang around for the Cardinal parade. I don't think the fact that you go to a Rams game precludes you from going to the Cardinal victory party down Market Street, which is just a couple of blocks away. Number two, Rams are playing the New Orleans Saints. I believe that the crowd will clear out of the dome, maybe like 6-7 minutes into the second quarter. okay, because it's going to be such a bloodbath out there. So maybe nothing to worry about after all. We'll just sort of see what the deal is. So I think the extra day off helps the Cardinals. Let's see what happens. Nothing's going to matter if the bats don't come alive. We already know that Tony has announced a change in the batting order. They're moving Lance Berkman up to cleanup, and they're going to move Matt Holliday to fifth. We know that Skip Schumacher is scheduled to play center field, and we'll see where it all leads. But one way or the other, this is almost over. All right, yesterday, by the way, in terms of the rock and roll poll, when a whopping 40% of you said, I don't even own an iPod or any sort of a digital music device, I was just sort of blown away. I still can't make sense of it, but we thank one of our listeners, Patrick Besanas, I think maybe that's how you pronounce it, surveyed by the Pew Research Center's activities involving internet and American Life Project. So they do this sort of stuff all the time. The Pew Research Center is very highly respected, and their results and their polling and stuff like that is always very highly regarded. So they say that 85% of Americans 18 and older own a cell phone. 90% of adults live in a household with at least one cell phone. 59% of American adults own a desktop computer. 52% own a laptop. 4% have a tablet like an iPad or something like that. By the way, I love my iPad. We'll talk about that some other time. It's fast. 47% own an iPod or another MP3. 42% own a game console. And that's higher than I thought it was, by the way. 42%. Almost half of the American public owns a game console, like a GameCube or something like that. Very surprised to hear that. 5% own an e-book reader like the Kindle from Amazon. Only 9% of those surveyed do not own any of the devices, but that goes up or down depending on what age group you're talking about. Digital music players are most popular between the 18 and 34 crowd. 74% of them have one of those things. Still doesn't make any sense to me that 40% of the people who responded to our poll say they don't have a digital music device or an iPhone or an iPad or an iPod or something like that. It's still blown away by that. All right, in the never-ending Lindsay Lohan Torah of news, she is apparently doing her Playboy spread as we speak. It's been going on all week. Source says, yes, she gives it all up, for those of you who are interested in the fire down below. Bruce Willis, going to be a dad again, got married in the spring of 2009. He's 56, she's 33, and she's preggers. Farrelly Brothers going to direct a sequel to Dumb and Dumber, and they plan on bringing Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels back. The FCC got a bunch of complaint letters when Nancy Grace's nipple slipped out of her dress a couple of weeks ago on Dancing with the Stars. Smoking Gun got a hold of it. And these things, I'm going to read them to you, but then I'm going to say something at the end of this, okay? So here are some of the excerpts from the actual letters and email that the FCC got after the Nancy Grace nipple slip. Nancy Grace displayed her naked pornographic breast and nipple. Her naked pornographic breast and nipple. This is an outrage that ABC would broadcast pornography to a family audience. I demand that ABC and Nancy Grace be fined for this disgusting and godless display. Wow, nipples are godless now. Nancy Grace had a wardrobe malfunction where her nipple private came out and scared my children. She should be fined. Her nipple was clearly visible. We watched the show because of the family values, but this was disgusting. How can this happen during primetime TV? How is this not buffered? This person wants a nipple buffering. Will Nancy Grace be fined? I want action. I am so offended to see her boob. My kids are traumatized. I want action against her and this network. And finally, I noticed that Nancy Grace's nipple was exposed. Although by accident, these types of things should not be allowed on television. Children were most likely watching the program, and the nipple could have traumatized the poor things. Okay, I told you I was going to say something at the end of this. I'm not convinced that some of these weren't filed facetiously. I have a hard time believing. I know that there are people who are like this, but some of these have got to be jokes, because if not, then I want somebody to just stop the world so I can jump off. And by the way, you can't find people whose nipple slips out on TV. That's just really funny that apparently some people are under the mistaken impression that the FCC or somebody can come along and say, Nancy Grace, you owe us money. And who would the money go to? There's no such mechanism in place. The worst thing that could happen is the FCC could fine the network and they can fine the local stations. That's all they could do. You can't take any action against the individual involved in this. Because otherwise they would have done it against Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake back at the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And that was deliberate. It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, tonight. You might want to set your DVR, watch the ball game, and hit that on ABC, 1966, and still funny. Not as good as the Christmas one, but yeah, it's not bad either. All right, what do we got here? New survey says the most popular lunch meat in America is turkey. How about that? Very surprised to hear that. I don't like processed turkey. I like to roast a turkey and cut it off the bird, have it for dinner, and then make sandwiches out of it. That's really, really good. 1 in 3 men like roast beef. Women and men start splitting right about there. There's going to be designer ketchup coming out. It's going to cost about $2 more. 97% of homes use ketchup, making it the most popular condiment in America. 9-year-old autistic girl in Canada was kicked out of a clothing store for bringing her service dog in with her, so the company wrote her, apologized, and gave her a $25 gift card. She went back to the store to use it and was kicked out for using her service dog. Have a nice day. All right, the official coroner's report says Amy Winehouse died of alcohol overdose. Damn, I had psoriasis in the office pool. Dr. Conrad Murray moved to tears yesterday during his trial in the Michael Jackson case when 5 of his patients praised him on the witness stand. Dr. Murray cried from the shock of learning that 5 of his patients were still alive. Birthdays today, Ivan Reitman. I mention this because this guy's made some awfully, awfully good movies with a really, really big heart attached to it. Dave being one of them back in the 1990s. He also directed Stripes, another movie that has a huge heart, and also Meatballs, which has an even bigger heart, probably a bigger heart than maybe all of them. So, Ivan Reitman. And of course his kid ain't doing bad either with a Juno and Up in the Air and stuff like that. First Planet Hollywood opened on this date in 1991. That's funny. The first U.S. death resulting from bungee jumping occurred in California on this date in 91. And it was 2004 that we saw Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore right out of the field at Busch Stadium because the Farrelly brothers were making a movie and they ran out there with the Boston Red Sox and they won their first World Series in 86 years. The movie, by the way, was called Fever Pitch. All right. JC's Eye Candy, a rerun of yesterday because I just love these pictures so much and I want to make sure you see them. It's the shots from me working in Buffalo, New York and working for the Natural Film Company back in 1983 and having really close access to Robert Redford and Barry Levinson. And so you get some really, really cool pictures. They are right below on Eye Candy, right below what you're looking at right now. Of course, our rock and roll poll question, when baseball ends, which team or sport is going to get your attention? Please answer. And you can also go to KTRS.com. We'll be live from Hooters again today. And tomorrow, if there's Game 7, from noon to 3, me and Trish Gazelle, Trish's Trash, on the Big 550 KTRS. All right, let's go here now. JC is armed with his press pass. They give you a nice little lanyard on this, too. Look at this. You get the postseason, Major League Baseball, the little baseball head on there, and then you get a big thing that says media, and you get to flash that around. You have to flash it around because you can't get in otherwise. So we're all set to go. I'm wearing the long underwear, by the way. Got the long underwear on. We're loaded for bear, so here we go. Will there be a Game 7? We find out together. All right, that's it. JC's Daily Dose for Thursday, October 27, 2011, a combined venture with Mind Active in beautiful downtown Brentwood. Go Cards. In the meantime, we've beaten this one to death. Have a good one. See you later. Bye.